John Heyman
maybe later.
is the esteemed baseball columnist for the New York Post, and also you could see him on MLB Network, and he joins us now here on the show. Hello, John.
Hi, Mike. Hi, Peter. Hi, Don. It's good to be with you. I learned something already. I had no idea. I've known you for 35-plus years. You're a big liberal, Mike? I had no idea.
It's you know me, John. You know that's not true, but you can't believe everything you read on social media.
Right.
You just can't.
No, that is true.
It was actually the Chicago 9, but he left himself out of it.
Very good, Don.
Very good.
All right, so let's try to separate truth from fiction here. So one of the things that's being reported today, and we're always looking for the needle to move a little bit when it comes to Juan Soto, is Mark Feinsand saying, I don't know how strongly he said it, but the Yankees would have last licks in the Soto sweepstakes. As far as you know, John, is that true?
Well, first of all, I think that was aggregated incorrectly. I think Mark just kind of opined that it was a possibility or something like that, and it was overplayed on social media. The Yankees do not have last licks, is my understanding. The Yankees have no idea. Just like the other 4 teams right now, he is weighing what he wants to do, and he's a very patient guy. You see that in the at-bats. And, it might take a few more days. But I do think a good estimate would be this weekend, Saturday, Sunday, maybe goes to Monday. So we're within a few days. But, no, there is no last licks for the Yankees.
So I think the $64,000 question isn't really about what the Yankees would pay. It's what the Mets would pay. I mean, because we know how much money Steve Cohen has. So is there any indication at all how far the Mets are willing to go?
Well, I do believe they are one of the highest bidders, if not the highest bidder at this point. But that, again, I'm just kind of reading tea leaves, hearing things here and there. That is no surprise to anybody. But I do believe that there are 4 other teams that are actively involved, and I don't know that there's a major separation at this point. So I think all 5 teams are still in the ball game. At least officially, maybe in his mind as he's going over it, certainly looking at the pluses and the minuses, the strengths and the weaknesses, and he probably has somewhat of an idea of a pecking order at this point, and we'll continue to think about it probably for at least another day or 2 or 3. But, I think that's the way it is right now. I think the Mets are certainly one of the higher bidders. But I have no indication that they are blowing the field away as he is going over it with all 5 teams.
I've always been of the opinion, John, and I don't think it makes him a bad guy, that he's going to go with the team that pays him the most money. Are there extenuating circumstances, John, in your opinion, that you think he would go to the team that didn't have the highest bid?
I think it's possible. I mean, I don't think he's going to leave $100 million on the table or anything like that. I think he's a typical free agent who weighs the contract heavily. I think Ohtani was that rare case who really wasn't paying attention to the money. And I think, as we know now, he basically just wanted to be in Southern California. I think he would have gone back to the Angels probably had they been willing to do that $700 million deal, that deferred $700 million deal that he wanted. And the Dodgers were the other choice in Southern California. He was looking for comfort. He doesn't need the money. I think he makes $50 million plus off the field per year based on his sponsorship, marketing, etc. Most players are not like that. They don't make $50 million in sponsorship or anything close to that. I think they'd be lucky to make even 5% of that. So I think that the contract will play heavily. Is he willing to leave 5, 10, 15 million on the table? I think that is possible. I don't think he's going to automatically go to the highest bidder.
But that's 5 to 15 over like 10 or 15 years, right? That's not 5 to 15 a year.
Not a year.
Right.
And I'm just guessing, estimating. I don't believe that he's automatically going to the high bidder. But like almost every other free agent, the contract will weigh heavily. The winning also will weigh heavily. So, I mean, that does favor the Yankees, also favors the Dodgers. I think all 5 teams, as he sees it, have pluses and minuses, and that's why he's deliberating now, and we'll take a few more days. And I get people are saying, oh, it's taking long enough and all that. Well, you know what? I mean, when Judge and Ohtani were two all-time greats who signed, and Judge took to the middle of the winter meetings, and Ohtani took till, I think, a day or two after the winter meetings. I think this is fairly typical, and I think it will get done in the next few days.
And how crazy is it going to get once Soto makes that decision? Are we just going to see a flurry of things happen the next few days after that?
Yeah, I mean, I do think that a lot of things are dependent on what's going on with Soto. Certainly, the Yankees have their plan B, and it seems to be an interesting one where they're, and they haven't ruled out signing Soto and Burns, but Burns or Fried, part of the potential plan B, as are Adames or Bregman, as is Santander, and they've said Alonso and Walker are considerations at first base. I believe Rice will be the first baseman if they sign Soto. If not, they will go out and get somebody. I'm of the opinion they could probably go, if they don't have Soto, they need to go left-handed, right? Verdugo's not coming back, right? Rizzo's not coming back, so I think they need left-handed hitters. So I'm personally not sure how Walker or Alonso fits with the Yankees, but they certainly will have stuff to do that's pretty interesting if they do not bring Soto back. And at this point, I mean, I think all teams are pretty nervous about this and really in the dark about what might happen. I don't know that there is a heavy favorite in this.
Talking with John Heyman of the New York Post here on the Michael Kay Show. So our colleagues here at ESPN, Buster Olney and Jeff Passan, reporting today that the Soto contract, they could see it going 15 years, $50 million a year at $750. Is that outrageous, or do you think it could be touching those numbers, John?
I think that's a possibility. Certainly, if you've got 5 teams over 600 already, right? And I do think there are teams that are going to be willing to go over 700. Will he go with those teams? I'm not going to guarantee that he's going to get over 700, but I think at this point there is a good chance that he will be over 700. And, yeah, I mean, 15 is the logical number, right? We keep hearing 14, 15. Well, you're negotiating and you're at the end here. Aren't you going to be able to tell the team you've got to be the 15, right? I mean, I don't see it being 14. So I think 15 is a very good logical number of years. And, I would rule out 750. But I think, as Jack said earlier, over the 700 is probably a goal, right? Because Ohtani got the 700. I get it, but I mean, Ohtani is definitely deferred. They're two completely different cases. Ohtani is certainly one of the greatest players of all time, and I get people complaining that, well, Soto isn't quite in that category. He's an all-time great hitter. He is 4 years younger. He is a guy who does seem to be willing to go anywhere, whereas Ohtani was kind of like geographically bound, as we kind of know now. And, I do think, the agent does probably make somewhat of a difference. But, I think it's basically the players. It's Ohtani was a guy who was more interested in geography, whereas Soto was a more typical free agent, looking at the deal and also looking at which teams win. And that does play for the Yankees and certainly the Dodgers and to a degree for the Mets. I mean, they had a fantastic year last year. They have a great owner who's trying to do everything he can to win, and that's certainly a plus that he's winning.
Now, the forgotten player in all this is Pete Alonso, and rightly so, because of the Juan Soto sweepstakes. But where do you think Alonso ends up? And is it contingent on where Soto goes?
I'm not sure that it is. I mean, I do think that Soto would love to have a guy batting behind him who is an established great slugger. I do know that he loved having Aaron Judge batting behind him. He loved the Yankee clubhouse. There's certainly a lot of positives with the Yankees. But as I said, I don't see a heavy favor in this at this moment. I could be wrong, but I do not see that. If I were to guess, I would say that the Mets are a logical landing spot for Alonso. That's only because, they're one of 5 teams in Soto. So, if they have a 20% chance to get Soto, they don't get Soto, what are you going to do at that point? You probably should bring back Alonso. Now, if they do have Soto, he would probably prefer to have somebody batting behind him who's an established star slugger. They could move Vientos there, but I mean, that still doesn't, as great as Vientos was, he's still not Judge, or if he goes to the Dodgers, Freeman, or if he goes to the Jays, Guerrero, or even if he goes to the Red Sox, Devers. So I'm not ruling him out with the Mets. Obviously, there are other teams that could use a first baseman, whether it be Houston, Seattle, Washington, a number of teams that can use a first baseman, but that one's one that looks like it's going to take a while.
I'm curious, John, have you heard at all? Was there a connection between Soto and Cohen? Did he like Cohen?
I mean, you know, after those meetings, I got to be fair. You hear how great all the pieces are, but yes, I mean, I think. Look, it was, I'm sure, very impressive at Steve Cohen's house in Beverly Hills. You know, his family was there, his wife, his father-in-law. Steve Cohen is a very funny guy. I'm sure there's no reason that it wouldn't go well, and he's certainly motivated to win, and that's certainly what Juan Soto is looking for. So I'm assuming that I was told the truth, that it went very well, but I got to be fair. I heard that it went well with every team that I heard about. I did not hear on the Dodgers at the end, but why wouldn't that go well? You know, they're a pretty attractive team, right?
Is there any, I mean, always with Scott's clients, we always hear about a mystery team. We've heard the 5. Do you think there's a lurking team out there, John, that could join the fray, or is it down to these 5?
I think it's down to these 5, and I think the other teams have seen where the bidding has gone, and I can't imagine somebody's coming in now. Now, I'm not batting 1,000. You never know. I love the mystery team, and people don't remember that the mystery team, full trivia, started with Cliff Lee, ended up being a mystery team, and it was going back to the Phillies, when we all, myself included, thought the Yankees were the heavy favorite in that one. But I'll be shocked if someone comes in late and bids more than $700 million to win the day. That just seems crazy. I can't imagine that happening.
You know, we had the I'm sorry, Mike.
Go ahead, Don.
We had the conversation like what would burn Hal more, him signing with the Mets or the Red Sox? We debated it. Obviously, from a competitive standpoint, it would hurt the Yankees to have him stay in the division with the Blue Jays as well. But would the Yankees care if he was with the Mets, sharing the same city, but at least him being in a different league? How much would it bother him?
Yeah, I think he could live with it either way. I think he'll be fine. I mean, they'll move on and do their business, and whether that be Santander or Bregman, Adames, Burns, Fried, maybe Alonso or Walker. We'll see, but I mean, I think they're worried about their own situation. Certainly, they're very motivated to bring Soto back. They gave up a lot for him. He helped them get to the World Series, which they hadn't done for 15 years. So I think they're motivated to get it done. But I can't say that he'd feel any better if he went to the Dodgers or the Blue Jays or some other team other than the Red Sox or the Mets. I mean, he's not a homegrown Yankee. He did perform spectacularly in his 1 year in the Bronx, and they do want him back. But, I don't think he's going to bid an extra $50 million because he's nervous about the Mets or the Red Sox winning the day.
In closing, John, if you had a chance to take your extreme wealth that you have and make a bet on one of the 5 teams.
That's like you being a liberal, right?
Take all of that wealth and put it on one team. Who would you bet on in this one? This is just from your gut, not anything that you heard.
Well, if I'm going to get big odds, and again, it changes every few minutes. It's a very fluid situation, and talking to people all day long. If I'm getting big odds, I might go with the Blue Jays or the Dodgers. I would take the team with the odds at this point. But if I'm getting odds, that's where I would go. If I had to pick one team, if I had to say which team is he going to end up with, I'd kind of lean the Yankees probably if they're greater than the 1 out of 5 chance. But I think he's not like Ohtani where he needs to be in one area. I think he's going to look to win the deal, and everything else is all thrown into the stew. And that's why he's deliberating now. Everybody's got some pluses. Everybody's got some minuses. Obviously, the Yankees, he loved the clubhouse. He loved Judge. He loved him batting behind him. I think he likes the management there. I think he enjoyed the season. He loved that roll call. We could see that. And so, maybe they get a smidge of an edge, but not the edge to the point of they get last licks or right to match. That's just not how it works.
You see, Don, he's not a chalk guy. He was looking for odds. He didn't want to do chalk. Yeah, that's how he is.
I get it. Michael, usually you go here, but I'm going to be the one to do it.
Okay.
The picture that Yes is using for John Heyman is absolutely spectacular. He's never looked better than in that picture.
Look at that.
Have you seen it?
It must have been. It must have been doctored quite a bit. I'm gonna have to look at that. I don't know.
I think it's AI, John. It's AI.
They finally did that surgery I should have done 40 years ago. Probably.
He does look regal.
Yeah, it's regal. That's a perfect word. You look regal, John.
I'm going to have to see that. I'm in Chicago right now, so we don't have Yes on the TV in my hotel, but I'm going to have to look for that. Thank you for pointing that out. Maybe I'll have you send it over. They do great work.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Well, John, I know you're crazy busy. Thanks for popping on with us. We appreciate it, and we'll be reading everything you write over the next couple of days.
Sure, anytime, guys. Always good to talk to you.
Thank you. That's John Heyman of the New York Post. So if he's getting odds, Dodgers and Blue Jays. If he's saying one of the five, he'd lean slightly to the Yankees.
But it's so incredible, like what to believe, right? Where are you getting your information? Because you can't get inside a human being's head. Boris, whatever information he's going to throw out there is going to be to benefit him and his client in negotiations. That's why, do you believe the Red Sox are really that in? Or is that just a way to kind of get the Yankees going? But according to John, they're all business. They won't care. They want to get him, and if they don't get him, they're not going to care where he goes. I don't know if I necessarily believe that, but at least John made it seem like that's not going to be a motivating factor to go dig deeper in their pocket to make sure he doesn't go to a rival.
The thing with John, and I don't get into people's pockets or try to find out their sources, but it's well known in the industry. He has a pipeline to Scott Boras. So the information you're getting from John is probably very legitimate. And as Don said, it also could be Scott putting stuff out there that he thinks behooves a negotiation. But John's not making stuff up when it comes to a Scott Boras client.
No, the source is true. You just need to know, are you being used, or is this actual information that's pertinent to prognosticate where he's going to go? Here's the PR disaster for the Mets. Steve Cohen came here, and everybody was excited because you're out of the whole Will Pond thing. You finally got a guy that's going to be able to go out there and spend money. How can Steve Cohen say they were outbid? It just doesn't seem humanly possible for the Mets to be outbid considering how much money Cohen has. So how does Stearns, I guess, more so than Cohen, sell that, no, they weren't outbid. They just didn't believe it made their team better if they spent that much money. How, as a Met fan, in which I am one, going to be able to swallow that information when you've been told that this is the guy that's got all the money? Are you going to be able to sell your fan base that this was not about being outbid? This was a baseball decision. Because I was told he can't be outbid, Michael.
I think it's a great point, and I've always thought this. If a team outbids him, then what is he? Well, what is he? I mean, that was the one thing that we were sold on. He would never get outbid for a player that he wanted, ever. He didn't get outbid on Yamamoto. He lost Yamamoto because he wanted to go to Dodgers. Now, if it comes out that Soto goes to the Yankees, because you know what? His heart was at the Yankees. As John said, he liked the roll call, loved the clubhouse, loves Judge, blah, blah, blah. Got it. But if the Yankees bid more than Steve Cohen, I mean, really, Met fans are going to be pulling their hair out because that's the one advantage they have. This is something, if it comes down strictly to money and he loses, it's incomprehensible to me. It's incomprehensible. Now, I know the Yankees as a team has 2.5 times the revenue of the Mets. Get that. But when it comes to the wealth of owners, Steve Cohen blows everybody in baseball away. He can't get outbid on this, guys.
What's the second best prize this offseason?
Probably Burns. Yeah, probably
maybe.
Burns.
It's a distant second.
That's what I say. Is it so distant that is it so distant a second that if you make another move, there's nothing that's going to make a fan feel better that they lost out on Soto?
Like if you made 2 or 3, you might be able to sell, hey, we're better with these 2 or 3 players than we would be with just Soto. Right. But again, you sold your fan base. Michael, maybe it's not even true, but the feeling is, we can get Soto and.
Right.
If we want to, we can sign Soto and we can bring back Alonso and we can be bidding for like you felt. And I don't think this is right. I think it's wrong that there could be a guy that could just dip into his wealth and just take every player. But that's kind of what we were sold when Cohen took over. And so it would be a really difficult sell to the fan base that if you got outbid, then what are you?
And you know what? On the Yankee side, right? If we found out tomorrow that the Mets outbid the Yankees, you could go, okay, I get it. The Yankees have more revenue than the Mets, but Cohen has more money than all the Yankee owners. Get it? And the Yankees are the type of organization that will draw a line and go, that's what we think is reasonable. But if it goes the other way, where the Yankees bid more money than the Mets, I don't know how Met fans could digest that. Again, if they lose him to the Yankees because the Yankees made the smart move and made the trade for him and got him to enjoy himself for a year, and they really ended up loving the place, then the Mets couldn't compete with that. But if it's on money and the Yankees offer more money than Cohen, that will be it will be a shock to the Met fan system.
And another thing that would kind of hurt too, not as much, but it would still be a PR hit if the Mets offered way more money and Soto still stayed with the Yankees.
But you know what? The Met fans could accept that, though.
Well, they could accept it, but it also makes you look like, God, he just didn't want to play for you.
But that
offered $100 million more, and he still said no?
But what they sold their fans on is that Cohen could outbid anybody. So if he goes to the Yankees because he just loved the Yankees and the Mets had the highest bid, then the Met fan have no kick coming. What could Cohen do? He can't kidnap the guy.
But if he gets outbid, then it takes the blooms off the rose as far as how special Cohen is as an owner. But again, if you bounce back and you sign 2 or 3 other guys and you end up being a better team at the end of the day, then you could say, well, this was a baseball decision. We just couldn't give all that money to one guy. But ultimately, that's going to be decided on the field next year and in years forward how well the team does.
Right.
But one of the reasons why we were so excited about getting out of the Wilpon business and into the Steve Cohen business was not just because now the Mets would be involved. It was that the Mets would start winning. Right. Now, the Yamamoto, you couldn't do anything about. He wanted to be a Dodger. Okay. But you lose out on Soto, well, then you realize, is it all that special? It's not as bad as the Wilpons, but what makes Steve Cohen special, the magic elixir of Steve Cohen, would really take a hit.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, I think it's better for them if he decides, you know what, Mets offer more money, I like the Yankees. But if the Yankees outbid the Mets, I don't know how Met fans could deal. I really don't, because then, I don't want to be dramatic, but they're going to sit back and go, well, what are we supposed to believe in? How could Steve Cohen get outbid?
That's why I don't think he can. I really don't. From a PR standpoint, Michael, I don't think it's good business to do that. That could affect your bottom line. Everybody's excited. The Mets came within 2 wins of going to the World Series. They were living with you not being aggressive in free agency last year because the feeling was he was going to be all in on Soto. To get outbid, that'd be a tough one to get up from. That's why I just don't think it would happen. I don't think he can allow it to happen.